Hello, everybody, and welcome to Teaching Writing in College, where the driving question is, how can instructors in higher education leverage theory, science, pedagogy, and craft most effectively to help their learners with writing? I am Tom Skeen, and I just wanted to share a little bit about what I did to introduce AI to my students in spring semester. One of the things I did just a little bit before I started talking about AI with them was I had them make a group square. So this is part of the Cornell Note system, and I just had a little prompt here because some students may not be familiar with Cornell Notes and some are. I usually give a little informal poll, and some students always raise their hands about Cornell Notes, but some don't know what it is. And so I give them models like this just to show them. And in this case, one thing that I do before I talk about AI is we do a little icebreaker, and so they needed to be able to get to know each other a little bit, and I had them put their notes on each other down, just briefly what their names are. And then we did 2 truths and 1 lie, so I've got that group Q there over on the left, and then in the notes, write down which one you think is a lie for each person in your group. I give them a little bit of time to do that and talk to each other, get to know each other a bit. And then we do it with me. My 2 truths and 1 lie were Dr. Skeen has 14 computers. Dr. Skeen has 4 children. Dr. Skeen was a star basketball player in high school. And the answer was, the lie was that I was a star basketball player in high school. So we had some fun with that. And then what I did is I showed them a TV commercial, and they know pretty quickly that it's AI. But it's one that it caught my eye in the news. It was called The Most Terrible Time of the Year, and it was put out by McDonald's in the Netherlands, if I remember correctly. And it was fully AI generated. It came out in early December, and then it ran into some controversy because people didn't necessarily like it. And so if you want to watch it, you can. You go to that link right there. It's just available on YouTube in its entirety. I think if you look on the screenshot there, I have it. That video goes up to 40 seconds. I think that's the whole thing. And so then after that, we just had a brief discussion. So a cue I had here was AI chatbots are like pencils. I asked students if they agree or disagree and why. And we spent a few minutes talking about that. And I kind of got a range. I got folks that on the agreement side, I asked them what they thought. Folks on the disagreement side or folks in the middle, they could also chime in. And so we had a little bit of a discussion about that. And they just, said some really sensible things about it. On one hand, AI is a tool like a pencil is. On the other hand, AI might, kind of take over and do all of the work. And one thing that they focus on sometimes is that an issue of originality or being genuine. And, is it really coming from the person? Is it the thoughts in their brain that are getting out on the page or not? And so that discussion kind of goes in that direction. And so just a follow-up, another brief one. And each time I'm asking them to write about a sentence or so. They don't need to write a lot on this. You could do it differently if you wanted to, of course. But the second cue, AI use is ethical when, and I just had them complete the statement and gave them a few moments to do that. And once again, they said some pretty sensible things. And then off we went to my own. I just presented to them what I think, because I'm sure they would want to know because I'm the one that does the grading. And I just said AI use is ethical when it doesn't disrupt expectations. And I tried to branch out just a little bit in the way that I do this. I should have said expectations about communication, or it could be other things as well. But we do use AI a lot, or it has a lot of potential just in communication with visuals or video or text. A lot of AI, a lot of what we see is communication in some way. But then I talked about how there are different expectations in different places. And so at school with learning, that's the expectation. And sometimes students would kind of go in that direction even before I brought this up because, we were in a school setting. At work, accuracy and safety could become an issue, whether it's a document that is maybe a report that's routine or maybe a piece of engineering or something like that. There could be, unexpected things that happen if somebody relies on AI without double checking it. Advertising and entertainment. One of the things the McDonald's the McDonald's commercial got critiqued for was just that the lack of creativity or the human touch. And some people objected to the idea of spending all of December in McDonald's, which is kind of the last line of the commercial, that you stay in McDonald's until January comes and things like that. So those were some ways, and I just kind of set that up because I'll want to bring it up, and sometimes I'll do it in a small informal way, just kind of throughout the semester. Sometimes we will have workshops where they are writing on their own, just like last semester. I got a lot of success. You might have noticed from the last episode, I felt like I had quite a bit of success getting students to practice and do their own thinking initially with AI or before they use AI, and getting their ideas going and doing the actual writing. And then after that, we would use AI to do other things like clean up the text and so on. But I got a lot of work that I felt fell on the side of student work rather than AI work, which was good. And I want to continue to pursue that. I do also want to pursue opportunities to use AI for writing in various ways. One thing that is really hard to do, I think, in the classroom, and I just have this hunch, that a lot of applicability of AI in writing outside of the academic world is automation, so that, if somebody has to write reports a lot, or I'm also thinking about something like grant writing, that there are things that could kind of be automated with AI and some things that probably couldn't be. But when it comes to writing, I think that's probably the direction that it would be headed. And that's really hard to do in a classroom because we're doing different assignments. I'm trying to get students to learn about genre, learn about writing, learn about invention tools that they can use, and so on. So I'm still thinking about how that might work. I do talk to them about that, when they are getting into their careers and when they are getting outside of the university. The automation part, I think, is what AI could do well, because it could, if somebody trains AI to write the reports that they need, then it's going to help them. It'll help free up some time a bit, but it still belongs to the writer because they had to train it. In a lot of cases, I would imagine that if somebody's writing reports, they would use previous reports to help train AI to do that for them, and then they would focus on the particulars when it's time to write a new version of the report. So that's what I had. And I also talked about my policy just briefly. And last semester I introduced the policy to them in full right at the beginning. And this time I just got the real core of it, which was the idea of cognitive offloading. I'll want them to be familiar with that again. My students last year were familiar with it, which I think was great. Just this idea of cognitive offloading, giving the learning or decision-making tasks about writing to AI. And we'll talk about that as the semester goes on. But that's all I have for this right now. I thought just a short episode about what I did to introduce my students to AI this semester, just to start a conversation that can be continued throughout the semester. I thought I would just share that with you. And so I hope your semester is getting off to a good start. And I hope to put up a new episode soon. So thank you so much for watching or listening. And I wish you the best as you begin your semester. Thank you.